that's actually a good illustration of how I like to teach drummers to improvise. And you don't have to be a jazz musician to want to improvise. If you can improvise on this instrument, you can play more, okay? It opens the door to you having more flexibility, just being able to do more stuff. So that's the way I like to teach drummers to improvise. And what was going on there is there was one fixed element, okay? The fixed element was the rhythmic phrase. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. I played that every time, okay? The sticking was constantly changing. And the orchestration, and I just kept it to 3 sound sources just for, in the interest of simplicity and clarity. The orchestration was constantly changing. And again, I like to think of the drum set as being one instrument. One of the, I don't know, I don't want to be too pejorative in my choice of language. Hey, I was at a drum clinic the other day and the guy said he didn't want to be too pejorative in his choice of language. How does that happen? Well, it does, and it just did. Now I've said that, I'm trying to be funny and I've lost my damn thread. Okay, one of the, I'd say, most unhelpful things I ever heard a drummer say, it wasn't an American drummer, but I'm going to fake an American accent. I said, the snare drum is like the steering wheel of the drum set. What does that mean? That's like saying that the banana is like the Eiffel Tower of the geography. It makes about as much sense. The steering wheel is part of a car that helps you navigate changes in the terrain. The way I think about the snare drum is I think of the snare drum as being like the octave either side of middle C on the piano keyboard. It's where we do a lot of our work a lot of the time. And dependent upon the kind of configuration that you have, as you move further away from that, you're moving into other registers. So this is why I think of the drums as one instrument. And it occurred to me a long time ago that there are a finite number of ways in which you can use any 3 sound sources. It doesn't matter what they are. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So, orchestration number 1, both hands on the snare drum. Orchestration number 2, we move the left hand to the small tom. Orchestration number 3 is the mirror of that. The right hand is on the tom, left hand on the snare. Orchestration number 4, both hands on the tom. Number 5, we bring in the floor tom. Number 6, reverse it. 7 is the left hand on the snare and the right hand on the floor tom. Number 8, the reverse again. Finally, number 9 is both hands on the floor tom. So the underlying theory behind this is that any 3 sound sources will give you 9 orchestration possibilities. It doesn't matter what they are. You can do exactly the same thing with the snare, the hats, and the ride. So for more kind of like groove-oriented ideas. And if you know a little bit about mathematics, you'll know that 3 times 3 is 9, and that the number of orchestrations in the standard two-handed human being is always the square of the number of sound sources. So next time you sit down at your drum set, you think, I'm going to play some stick control, I'll play pattern number 6. Who knows what pattern number 6 of page 5 of stick control is offhand? Anybody? You do. Okay, well, pattern number 6 of the stick control book, it's just that inverted paradigm. Right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to play in continuous 16th notes, and that's a fixed element. The sticking is going to be a fixed element, but this time I'm going to be, the improvised aspect of it is the orchestration. So right, left, left, right, left, right, right. Now, you're probably wondering why I suddenly increased the tempo. And you're probably thinking that, oh, this is really cool, he's just kind of showing off a bit. And yeah, I was, all right, okay, I was. But there's another reason, okay? I'm not impressed by drummers who can play fast, which is sort of why I did that just now. I'm impressed by drummers who can think quickly, okay? Who can just react and respond to music in the moment. And that could be playing live on stage, you know, accompanying a soloist when it's really kind of, the intensity's really kicking up. Or it could be sitting in the studio, tracking a really, really simple drum part, but just having the presence of mind to come up with the right thing in the right place. You know, that's what makes music feel good, is when we put the right thing in the right place. And the reason I sped it up is simple. At the slower tempo, I was completely in command of what I was playing. I was playing completely in the moment. I got enough time to think about which hand was going to go where. And as I sped it up, I was kind of going more into that muscle memory zone, where I was playing things that are a little bit more kind of in my kind of subconscious and pre-learned, and things that I can just drop into at the drop of a hat. And this, I kind of came to this about 20 years ago when I had a weekly jazz residency. We played some really, really hard tunes with some really good musicians, and we'd rehearsed the living daylights out of this music. And we'd be playing away, you know, burning jazz tempo, solos all going on, everybody's having a good time. And then I completely ruined my own day by playing some fill that I just pulled out of the toolbox, okay? I thought, why am I'm playing this because I can, not because I should. Play stuff on the drums because you can play it, not because you should play it, not just because you can, okay? And what I did then was I stripped my playing back, I set the metronome down nice and low, and I just started trying to think and play at the same speed, rather than just doing things that are like conditioned reflexes. So it started off very, very laboriously, and it was very tedious for the first little while, and I would just sit with a snare drum or a practice pad, just doing this. Doing that, what I'm doing is I'm asking myself, is it right hand, is it left hand, is it a single stroke, is it a double stroke? Rather than just doing stuff that I've learned to do, that I can just, you know, grind out. Like, does anybody here speak German, by the way? Okay. Wie komme ich am besten zum Rathaus, bitte? Which is, our two German speakers will know, can be approximately translated as, which is the best way to the town hall? Which is a phrase I know in German. Which is great if you want to know the way to the town hall, but if you want to go into a greengrocer's shop and order half a kilo of sprouts, asking the way to the town hall is absolutely no bloody use whatsoever. We play like this so much of the time. We drop into little pre-learned phrases. We have like this, you know, those phrase books that have little useful phrases when you're abroad, and we play like this so much of the time. We just trot out these little phrases that we've learned, whether the music requires it or not. And by over a fairly lengthy period of time now, I've managed to kind of pretty much erase that from my playing, so I can be more focused on the music and not trying to just kind of shoehorn in stuff that doesn't really belong to what's going on around me. And that's, again, the underlying point, if you take only one thing away from this session this afternoon, is play things because you should, not because you can. If you want to take something else away from this session this afternoon, I have a very small quantity of these DVDs with me. Shameless plugging of product. And actually all the stuff that I'm talking about today is explained in the DVD and the accompanying booklet, so if you're interested in that, come see me at the end. I've been talking rather a lot, which is something you probably gathered by now I'm really quite good at. I mean, I could have sat here and just played a 20-minute drum solo, but you know, you probably had a hat full of that if you've been here all weekend, as I have. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to yourselves, and is there anything anybody would like to ask or discuss, or anything at all?